Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the inner sanctum.
Action and adventure north of the border with Sergeant-Preston-of-the-Yukon. This episode, entitled The Bengal Tiger, was originally broadcast May 18th, 1954.
Now, as gunshots echo across the wind-swept, snow-covered reaches of the wild Northwest, Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns, present Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, breaking the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers. On King! On, you husky! Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush with Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice, bringing you the adventures of Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog Yukon King as they meet the challenge of the Yukon. In a large circus tent in Seattle, a big tiger looked through the bars of his cage at the curious crowd and growled. The caged animal stalked slowly back and forth, baring its fangs and glaring with hatred at the human faces just beyond his reach. He remembered the day long ago when he stalked his prey through the faraway jungles. No other animal was too large for him to attack, and he remembered how, though other animals feared humans, he felt only hatred and took pleasure in stalking an unwary native. The thought caused him to roar a sudden defiance to the ever-staring faces outside his cage. Secretly pleased by the crowd's reaction, the tiger leered at them for a moment. Then, just to keep them on edge and show them he hadn't lost any of his spirit, he lunged again. The big cat stood snarling through the bars. He remembered the day he had padded along his favorite jungle path. Suddenly, the ground had given way beneath his feet, and he found himself tangled in a net at the bottom of a deep pit, and excited, yelling natives danced around the rim of the pit above him. From that day on, he lived defiantly in cages. But he knew someday he'd gain his freedom once more. With a final roar, he turned his back on the crowd and lay down. In the office wagon, the manager of the circus sat discussing the tiger with its keeper.
Jake, how are you getting along with that Bengal Tiger?
Yeah, no better than the first day I laid eyes on him, boss. He's mean, ornery, and dangerous.
Well, this is primarily a Wild West show, Jake. Some of the performers are complaining about that big cat.
Why?
Well, they say he makes the horses nervous the way he roars all night.
I reckon that's true, but what can we do about it?
Get rid of him.
Get rid of him?
That's right. A man named Kelly owns an animal show. It's moving on to this lot after we leave. Kelly's in town now and is coming here today to talk about the tiger. He's due here most any minute. That's why I sent for you.
Oh, does that mean I'm going to be out of a job?
I don't think so, Jake. Open the door. That must be Kelly now.
Yeah, right.
Howdy. I came to see the show manager.
Oh, come on in.
Well, I reckon you're Mr. Kelly.
That's right.
I'm glad to meet you. Sit down.
I stopped at the tent to get a look at that Bengal tiger. He's almost as big as a pony.
Yes, sir. The biggest tiger in captivity, Mr. Kelly, and a great attraction to any circus. He's a man killer. And people are fascinated by anything dangerous.
Yeah, I know. I understand you're willing to sell him.
Yes, providing I get my price.
Well, if he's such a good attraction, why do you want to sell him?
Well, I run a Wild West show. And that cat is bad to have around horses.
I reckon so. How much you want?
10,000.
Give you 5.
Make it 7 and agree to take the keeper along with the cat. Fact is, Jake's the only man who can get anywhere near him.
Well, all right. It's a deal.
Jake, meet your new boss, Mr. Kelly.
Hi, Mr. Kelly.
Make out a bill of sale and we close the transaction right now. Jake and the Tiger join my show the day you move out and we move in here. Maybe that man-eater ain't good for your show, but by thunder, with my animal circus, he'll be the prize exhibit.
And so the Bengal Tiger became part of the new show, fulfilling Kelly's prediction by attracting more people than any other animal in the big tent. After a week's run in Seattle, the show moved through Alaska by riverboat to the Yukon Territory. The whole town turned out to see the unusual spectacle of a vicious Bengal tiger. Sergeant Preston stood viewing the tiger when the keeper Jake walked up and spoke.
What do you think of him, Sergeant?
Vicious-looking beast.
Yeah, he's vicious, all right. In spite of the long time he's been in captivity, he hasn't tamed a bit.
I'd hate to meet him when there weren't strong bars between us.
So would I. He's really a man-eater, like they say. Yeah, time to feed him. And he sure hates to wait. See you again sometime, Sergeant.
The stern-wheeler Yukon Queen moved majestically along the great Yukon River. Several cages were lashed to the forward part of the main deck and were a continual attraction to the passengers. Printed on each cage were the words, Kelly's Animal Circus. A keeper in uniform moved among the cages and answered the questions of the curious.
Where's the circus heading, mister?
Selkirk. We just finished a week in Dawson.
Man alive, look at that. Never saw one of those before.
That's a man-eating Bengal tiger, mister. One of the strongest and most ferocious cats in existence.
I'd sure hate to meet an animal like that out in the open.
Yeah, I reckon anybody would.
The following morning, a heavy fog moved in, and the riverboat traveled at half speed. About 20 miles north of Selkirk, the river narrowed, and at several places, points of land jutted out hazardously. Suddenly, there was a crashing, grinding noise as the boat ran aground. On the lower deck, one of the cages broke loose and crashed into the rail.
The tiger's cage is smashed. He's loose. All right, keep back.
The big striped animal stood a moment as if dazed by the crash. Then, with a final roar, it leaped over the railing and disappeared into the fog.
He jumped over the side. The Bengal tiger's loose. That's right.
Later, when the boat managed to reach Selkirk, the news quickly spread. The circus people formed searching parties, and for 2 days scoured the countryside for the big cat without success. A week later, the circus people reluctantly moved on without their prize exhibit. One day, 2 men sat talking in the Nugget Cafe.
Tony, we gotta get some cash in a hurry.
Sure, I know. Where are we going to get it, Luke?
Well, this is Saturday, and I've noticed a lot of prospectors going into the express office with books of gold.
Yeah?
There ought to be plenty in the safe there by tonight.
Oh, you figure on grabbing it?
Yeah. I've been watching, and there's just one clerk on duty from 9 to midnight. We'll go in just before closing, grab what's in the safe, then head north to Dawson and take the next boat for the States.
Hey, that's a good idea. Count me in.
I know of a good hideout above Pelly's Landing. We'll cover our tracks and head there first to pick up supplies I have cached there.
That evening, Sergeant Preston and his great dog King arrived at the constable's office in Selkirk.
All right, oh boy. Come on, King.
Hello, Sergeant. Glad to see you.
Evening, Constable. How are things in Selkirk?
Quiet. Of course, we did have some excitement last week.
Huh? Tell me about it.
Well, the Yukon Queen was bringing an animal circus to town.
Kelly's Animal Circus?
That's right.
I saw it in Dawson last week. What happened?
The boat ran aground in a fog about 20 miles north of here. Because of the crash, one of the animals got loose. A Bengal tiger.
Great Scott, I saw that man-eater. Did he hurt anyone?
No. As a matter of fact, the tiger escaped into the hills and was never caught.
Oh. Hope no one meets it.
Huh. I know I'd hate to meet it face to face. I hope it loses itself in the wild country until winter comes. Then it won't survive.
That's possible. Well, I'd like to check the reports.
I'm ready to go over them now, Sergeant.
Good. Let's get busy.
That night, just before midnight, the express clerk looked up as Luke and Tony entered with handkerchiefs masking their faces and guns in their hands.
Hey, what? Take it easy, mister. This is the holdup.
Make him open the safe.
Yeah, you heard what he said. Get the safe open. Get moving.
Yeah, sure.
Make it snappy.
There. It's open, mister.
So I see. Now, this will keep you quiet. All right, put the loot in the sack, Tony.
Sure.
We sure hit the jackpot, eh?
Yeah. Must be thousands in cash and gold. We got it all.
Good. Let's get out the back way.
Half an hour later, the express clerk staggered into the constable's office.
Oh, Sergeant. The express office has been robbed in 2 minutes.
Here, sit down, man. You're hurt.
I'll get water and a bandage.
All right.
I'm all right. Got hit on the head. Knocked me out.
When did it happen?
What time's it now?
12:30?
It was just before midnight. They were masked. They had guns. Forced me to open the safe and knocked me out.
I'll bandage your head. You got a nasty blow.
In a few moments, the clerk's head was bandaged. Then Preston said,
Feel all right now?
Yes, Sergeant.
How much did they take, do you know?
About 10,000 in gold and 3,000 in cash.
Constable, we'll go to the express office and look around and try to find their trail. Let's go. Come on, King.
At the express office, the two Mounties quickly looked around for clues. They found the back door was unbolted. They opened it and went outside.
Storm coming up.
That's too bad.
Yes. Look, hoof marks.
The beam of light from the open door was sufficient to show the marks left by the crook's horses. Preston called to King.
King, here, boy. Pick up the scent, King. Got the scent.
You going after them in spite of the approaching storm, Sergeant?
Yes, before it breaks, King can show us which way they went. Let's get our horses and start right now.
The two Mounties brought their horses to the rear of the building, then mounted.
To the erect. Fine, King. After him, fella. Come on, Rex.
Get up, boy.
King followed the tracks through town and then up the north trail.
Here's the rain, Constable. Before long, those tracks will be washed out.
I know.
King has their scent. He may be able to pick it up after the storm. We'll keep going.
If the storm gets too bad, they may take cover someplace.
That's true. We may have to take cover ourselves. Come on, Rex.
Get up there.
On the trail a few miles ahead, Luke and Tony rode through the storm.
Hey, Luke. Storm is bad. We ought to find a place to stop till it's over.
Stop beefing about a little water. This is a good break for us. We'll wash out our tracks so we can't be trailed. We'll keep on till we reach the hideout I told you about.
Where is it?
We have to take a branch trail into the hills. The hideout is a big natural cave on the side of a cliff. We'll dry out there, load up with supplies, and hit the trail for Dawson. All right, get up there. Get along.
Get up.
The storm was intense, but soon passed. Just before the two crooks reached the branch trail, the moon came out brightly.
We're coming to the branch trail now, Tony. We'll soon be at the hideout.
Yeah. But now that the rain has stopped, our tracks show again.
Why worry? I figure that clerk didn't come to till after the storm started. So nobody could find our trail to follow.
Maybe you're right. I hope so.
Well, here's where we turn off. Come on, get up there.
Come on, get up. From the way it looks, this branch trail has not been used for a long time. Just a footpath.
It leads into wild country. Few prospectors staked claims back there, but soon gave up. Nobody ever goes this way anymore.
So much the better for us.
Right. We could stay at that cave for days without anyone being the wiser. Get up.
Come on, get up.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Preston and the constable made good time in spite of the storm. When they were a short distance from the branch trail, Preston spoke.
Look, Constable, fresh hoof marks.
We're in luck. Good thing we started before the rain so King could lead us in the right direction.
That's right. Hold on, Wilrex, hold. The tracks turn here onto that narrow branch trail.
Strange they'd head into that wild country.
Yes, it is. They'd have more chance of escape if they headed straight north. Well, we'll follow them, soon find out where they're going. Come on, Rex.
Get up, boy.
Later, Luke and Tony approached a low cliff in which the cave opening was discernible in the moonlight.
You can see the cave from here, Tony.
Yeah. Is it big enough to have a fire inside?
Plenty big. We can even take the horses inside.
Oh, good.
There's even some dry wood stacked up. I figured I'd be using the cave before long. I have a couple of lanterns there, too, along with a couple of dry blankets.
Sounds like you used it as a hideout before.
Yeah, more than once. Well, here we are. We can ride right in. Get up there.
Get up. Get up.
Oh, there. Oh, there. Steady. Easy. I left the lanterns just inside the entrance.
Hurry up and light one.
Yeah, right. There. Now we'll start a fire.
Hey, this is a big cave, Luke. Seems to go way back. It narrows back there.
Yeah, I never bothered about how far back it goes. Well, come on. We'll get the wood and start a campfire.
On the opposite side of the ridge, a tawny striped figure moved slinkingly through the brush in the moonlight. The huge Bengal tiger, unaccustomed to the chill Yukon air, sought shelter. He stopped before a small opening in the side of the ridge and sniffed curiously. Strange scents reached his sensitive nostrils, the acrid smell of smoke and the scent of men and horses. He stood a moment as if undecided. He feared and hated humans, but hunger abated his fear. Horses and, if need be, men meant food. He slowly padded through the rear entrance to the cave and toward the men and horses, his large, glassy green eyes glistening with anticipation. We'll continue our adventure in just a moment.
May 18th, 1954, Sergeant Preston of the Yukon on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now more of Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, May 18th, 1954 on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
As Sergeant Preston and the constable rode along the branch trail, they suddenly sighted the cliff.
Look, Constable. Cave in that cliff, and there's a light inside.
Crooks must be hiding out there.
Hold, Rex, hold. Easy, boy. We'll leave our horses here under the trees and approach that cave on foot.
All right.
We'll try to take them by surprise. Let's go. Come on, King. Quiet.
The Bengal Tiger moved quietly along a passageway that gradually widened until he saw the flickering light of a campfire ahead. He crept forward and up onto a ledge about 10 feet above the floor and some short distance from the unsuspecting crooks.
Our clothes will soon be dry, Tony.
Yeah, I'm almost dry now.
The tiger on the ledge in the shadows sank down on his belly and watched the men like a massive cat watching an unsuspecting mouse. He stared unblinkingly at the two humans sitting beside the campfire and at the two horses ground hitched near the cave entrance. Fire was his greatest fear, but past experience had taught him that campfires usually burned out. The striped terror of the jungles rested his big head on his paws and waited for the right moment to attack his prey.
I reckon it's safe enough to take a short snooze, Tony.
Yeah. We sure know how to pick a good hideout, Luke. We're plenty safe here. Oh, a little rest will do us both good.
Sergeant Preston, with King and the constable, strode slowly and carefully through the brush toward the cave entrance.
Quiet. Constable will move in from each side of the entrance. You take the left.
All right, Sergeant.
The light inside has died down considerably. Must be a campfire.
I think it is.
Take your place to the left, just outside the entrance. Have your gun ready, and when I give the word, we'll rush them.
All right, Sergeant.
On the ledge, the tiger still watched as the two crooks gradually dozed and the flames of the fire died down. Suddenly, he raised his head. Sounds and scents unperceptible to humans had reached him. He knew with the instinct of the jungle that others were stalking his prey. Staring intently at the cave entrance, he stood up, ears flattened and fangs bared. Then he gave a loud, warning growl. Luke and Tony jumped to their feet, drawing their guns.
What was that? I don't know. It came from back there in the cave. Maybe...
Drop your guns and reach.
What the...
Look, in the entrance. 2 Mollies with guns.
I said drop your guns.
Got him, Tony.
May 18th, 1954, Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite radio station. This is Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Just going to take a minute here to tell you about the big savings going on now, the clearance sale at mypillow.com. And you know, I've talked about how in my office I have a pair of my slippers, and they're really comfortable, and they're on clearance right now. The mypillow.com slippers, $25 a pair, limit 10. And I would buy 3 or 4 more pairs. Unfortunately, they're out of my size. They also have sheets, pillowcases, clothing items, all on special right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the clearance tab at the top of the page, use my promo code Wyatt, or call 1-800-928-4715. Limited sizes remaining in the MyPillow slippers, limited colors on other items. mypillow.com, clearance tab, promo code Wyatt, 1-800-928-4715. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, starring Paul Sutton, May 18th, 1954.
2 Mollies with guns.
I said drop your guns.
Got him, Tony.
Before the 2 crooks could fire, Preston and the constable used their guns.
Pick up their guns, Constable, and handcuff them.
Right. I have the guns. And here are the handcuffs.
On the ledge, the tiger, upon hearing the gunfire, cowered a moment in fear of the short fire sticks in the hands of the humans. Then, seeing the great dog King appear in the cave entrance, and angered by the interference of the newcomers, the big tawny animal sprang.
Look out!
The tiger!
Holy mackerel.
The King!
Preston fired, but the wily cat anticipated the sergeant's move and sprang through the entrance into the night.
Hey, he looked as big as a house.
Luke, it was right in here with us.
And because of that tiger, the mommy's got the drop on us.
You're lucky he didn't attack you before we got here. Constable, we'll tie them to their horses and start back with them.
The loot must be in their saddlebags. I'll look.
All right.
The express loot was found in the saddlebags, and the 2 men were soon tied to their horses for the trip back to Selkirk.
We arrest you men in the name of the Crown for armed robbery. Let's lead the horses to where we left our own, Constable.
Right. Come on, boy. Come on.
We'll keep our eyes open for that tiger, although I think he'll keep his distance.
I hope so.
The tiger is attacking our horses.
Great day.
Bring the prisoners. Come on, King.
Meantime, the big black stallion Rex jumped, bucked, and kicked as the tiger attacked. King, running well ahead of his master, joined in the fight. The tiger, puzzled by the ferocious opposition from the 2 animals, whose kind had always been easy prey, continued the attacks, springing forward again and again, only to be stopped by the kicking, stomping hooves of the stallion and the sudden and unexpected nips from the snarling, courageous dog. Finally...
Good work, Rex. Good for you, King. Easy, boy. I think he's done for.
Oh, boy. Oh, holy smoke, Sergeant, you got him.
Yes. I want to look King and Rex over and see if they're hurt badly. Oh, roughed up quite a bit, fella, but nothing serious. I'll attend to those cuts. Good fighting, King. Same with you, Rex. I don't know how you both escaped more serious injuries. You and King did a fine job, boy.
I wouldn't have believed a horse and a dog could hold off a beast like that Bengal Tiger, Sergeant.
Well, with due modesty, I'll say I don't consider Rex and King just another horse and dog, Constable.
Oh, I know what you mean, Sergeant. As long as you 3 are together, I don't think anything or anybody will get the better of you.
Well, thanks for the compliment. Now that it's over, I'm glad we ran into that tiger before he killed someone.
Yeah, he's sure mighty big. And that striped skin would make a beautiful rug.
We'll come back for it, Constable, after we report to headquarters. Well, the tiger's dead, the crooks are caught, and the express loot recovered. Constable, this case is closed.
In a fight to the finish, Sergeant Preston found himself surrounded by savages on the warpath. His situation seemed hopeless, but suddenly, well, you'll thrill to the breathtaking climax of this next exciting adventure. Today's adventure was written by Dan Beatty. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. Sergeant Preston of the Yukon is brought to you every Tuesday and Thursday at this same time by Quaker Popped Wheat and Quaker Popped Rice. The breakfast cereals shot from guns. This is Fred Foy wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health from Quaker Popped Wheat and Quaker Popped Rice. So long.
From May 18th, 1954, Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, as he's so fond of saying, the wind-up. Part 5 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Medium Well Done Matter. This episode originally broadcast May 18th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Good morning, Johnny. This is Carol.
Oh, hi, Carol. Sleep well?
Johnny, you were so quiet on the way back from the seance last night. I hope it's because Madame Morgana convinced you of her powers as a medium.
How much did you pay her for that seance, Carol?
$100.
$100? Want to meet me in the coffee shop downstairs for breakfast?
I'd love to. 15 minutes?
15 minutes. Goodbye.
Oh, and weren't you thrilled to hear the voice of your dead brother again?
Yeah. Bye. Except that I never had a brother.
Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location New York City. To the Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Following is an accounting of expenses during my investigation of the matter of the medium. Well done. Expense account item 18, 10 cents, phone call to Carol Sharp. Item 19, 10 cents, phone call to Sergeant Randy Singer.
Hey, I thought you were coming down here to headquarters this a.m. It's nearly 10 o'clock.
As soon as I've had some breakfast. Your lab get those films developed for me?
They're working on them right now.
And did you put a tail on David Sharp?
Carol's brother? Yeah. I suppose you know he was over there in the neighborhood of that seance over in Jersey last night.
I would have bet on it.
Didn't you see him there?
No.
Oh, that's funny.
Just keep that tail on him. See you later. Item 20, 1070, long-distance call to the city editor of the Mock-Chunk, Pennsylvania Herald Express. For a full half hour, I asked him questions about the Sharp family, about one member of the family in particular. Then, item 21, 585, breakfast for Carol and myself in the coffee shop at the Swank Bell Towers.
You must have been impressed, Johnny. You're so quiet. Would you like to see Madame Morgana again tonight? Johnny?
Carol, I think we'll see her today.
Oh, but she couldn't. She always says it takes a full day to recover from the shock and strain of a seance. She goes into a deep trance, in order to make the spirits move those little trumpets about and speak through them.
Listen, Carol.
Yes?
You have a brother, David.
Oh, David.
Why do you say it that way?
He's not really a brother. He was just sort of taken in by Mother when his parents died. I'd rather not speak of him, Johnny.
The black sheep of the family, huh?
Mother insisted on taking care of him. He was only 12 or 13. I've forgotten. Father didn't want to, but he permitted it.
Why didn't he want to?
Because David's father had been a criminal, and his father before him. Even David's mother was... and my father was afraid.
Yeah, but blood would tell.
Yes.
Your father left money to him, along with the rest of you.
Yes, he did. But not as much. And David has resented that. But no matter how much he had, he wouldn't have enough. His sports cars, the fast company. Johnny, how did you know about
Listen,
that?
Carol, I'm an insurance investigator.
What?
I came down here to look into this matter of your wanting to change the beneficiaries of your policy, to cut off your mother and brothers in favor of this medium and Tony Ricardo.
Johnny, I hate you for this. Why didn't you...
I didn't dare let you know until I found out a few things.
This is the most...
And I think I have. Including the fact that Madame Morgana, who persuaded you to make the change, is nothing but a clever fraud.
No, that isn't true.
And I'll prove it to you. If you'll call your boyfriend, Tony Ricardo.
Tony...
Take him down to the 18th Precinct Police Station where I'll be waiting for you.
But Tony hasn't... You think because his father was a kind of gangster years ago...
In Tony's case, I hope blood won't tell. 18th Precinct, both of you.
All right, Johnny, we will be there.
There you are, Johnny. The picture took last night.
Oh, thanks, Randy.
Hey, why'd you ever get the idea of using infrared light and infrared film?
Anything else, anything that let them know I was taking pictures would have busted up the seance. Hey, look at this one.
Yeah, I'd like to publish those. Scare a lot of those phony psychics out of business and out of town.
Oh, here's the one that I'd like.
Mr. Dollar, we're here.
Hi, Dollar.
Oh, hello, Tony. Miss Sharp, Mr. Ricardo, this is Sergeant Singer.
How do you do?
Hi.
And now, will you please show us this proof you were talking about?
Yes, Dollar. How did you make out, huh?
Made out very well, Tony, thanks to a miniature flash camera I had tucked into my pocket last night. I guess you wondered, too, how Madame Morgana worked her racket.
He did not. Tony knows as well as I do that she's completely honest. Like any normal person, he may have questioned the almost miraculous powers of this woman in the beginning, but no trumped-up tricks that you... Where did you get this picture?
And look at this one.
She's moving that trumpet herself with the long, kind of extended handles.
Extension grip, they call it. She probably hid it in the front of her dress.
Oh, no.
But these pictures in that dark room, infrared photography.
Maybe she did use one trick. But the voices came from trumpets floating about in the air above our heads.
Then look at this one. Taken when your father was supposed to be speaking to you.
Oh, no. That little trumpet has a long tube on it.
Yep. Extending into that curtained doorway at the end of the room where somebody could whisper through it.
Oh, this is terrible. And the hundreds, the thousands of dollars I gave her, believing in her.
Yep. I'm afraid you were really took. Here. Here's where my dead brother, Richard, spoke to me.
The hanging trumpet is over your head.
Yep.
But how could she know? I didn't tell her. Oh, yes, you mentioned your brother.
A completely non-existent brother, Carol.
Oh.
Made up. Like the dream of you I told you about.
And I believed you, too. But how could she find out all those things about me?
Miss Sharp, a couple of nights ago, I took Mr. Dollar to a medium that was a bum compared to this one. She told him all about himself.
Have you forgotten what I found out about you and your brothers just in the last 24 hours?
Oh, I don't know what to say.
Don't try. We've still got to pin this whole thing down. I'm sure this Madame Morgana wasn't working alone.
But who could be...
How about it, Tony?
No. No, not Tony. Just because his father was... Oh, no, please.
Oh, thanks, Colin. I got a report here, Johnny. Apparently he's moved again. And you guessed right.
Yeah. Then we better get going. Can we use a prowl car?
No, but we can get an escort as far as the city line.
Then come on, all of you. The cabbie, with his accelerator on the floor, had a ball trailing our escort across town. And we had to hold him down when we finally reached the Jersey side. Randy Singer obviously had no authority over there, but as it turned out, I'm glad he came. When we pulled up to the home of Madame Morgana, I couldn't help noticing a Studebaker Golden Hawk sticking out from behind the house with a Pennsylvania license. I wasn't the only one to notice it.
Johnny, that looks like David's car.
I think it is. Come on.
Johnny, I'm out of my jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah, maybe you better wait.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny, I knew David was bad, but... I still can't believe it.
I know how you feel, Carol, and I'm sorry.
Mr. Dollar...
Wait a minute.
Johnny, if you do a thing like this...
I'm ready for anything.
Look, Mr. Dollar, why don't just you and I go in? If anything happened to Carol, I'd never...
Oh, Carol, dear. And Mr. Ricardo and Mr. Dollar.
Hello, Madame Morgana.
Do you mind if we come in?
Why, no. But not for another meeting, of course. The strain of last night's convocation is still with me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, maybe you ought to up the price for your next seance. But there ain't going to be no more.
Mr. Dollar, I don't understand.
Come on, Carol, Tony. We're going to look over that seance room in broad daylight.
No, you can't. I won't let you destroy the sanctity of that room.
Oh, yes, you will. I'll lay it on the line to you, madam, whatever your name really is. This monkey business of yours has gone far enough. So this is the room.
What terrible things you're saying.
You take a thing like spiritualism that a lot of honest people believe in and make a dirty racket out of it.
Carol, this man is mad. Make him leave this sacred place at once. Carol, what right have you to make such horrible implications?
Implications? Those were accusations. Would you like to see how those spirits of yours move trumpets around in the dark?
They couldn't be seen.
And how those spirit voices suddenly appear out of thin air? Look at these pictures.
Oh. How did you get these?
I cannot tell a lie. I did it with my little camera. Well...
All right, you've exposed me. But there was nothing malicious about it. If you knew the solace, the comfort of mind and spirit these things have brought to the people who come to me.
At $100 a crack, sometimes more.
Why not? Carol has money. So have the others who come to me.
Did you plan to make them all turn their insurance policies over to you? And then contrive to have them suddenly and unexpectedly join their immortal ancestors in the great beyond?
No, that wasn't my idea. Oh, I knew something like this might happen.
It has happened. Now, where is he?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Your assistant or colleague in crime would be a better word, who stood inside the curtained door of the seance room and made with the phony voices of the dead, who gave you all the information on Carol, who's probably done a nice little research job on me since my visit last night.
Yes, Mr. Dollar.
David.
I know all about your activity as an insurance investigator and why you're here. But it's not going to do you any good.
Oh, put that thing down and give yourself up, David.
So you're the one who arranged for me to be a beneficiary of Carol's policy, huh?
Stand back.
So that suspicion would fall on me when something happened to her?
Of course. And give us a chance to clear out. But now it's too late. And now that you've found us out. Well?
David, no. The light somebody turned on.
Look out, Della! Look out!
Are you dirty? Pull a gun on me, will you?
Easy, Johnny. Control yourself.
I'll knock you. Randy.
If you'll just get up off my chest.
Here, the lights.
But, David.
When I flicked off the lights, Tony here made a dive for him. Here he is, wrapped up in the corner there.
Yeah, I've got his gun.
Ooh, you got a mean left there, Johnny.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy, but... See, I thought this was out of your jurisdiction.
I get curious about comparing your lousy photography with the room itself, Johnny, so I sneaked in the back door. When I saw what was going on, I lost my head, I guess. All right, Dave, up on your feet.
Oh, Johnny.
Easy, Carol. Better get her out of here, Tony.
Yeah, sure.
And remember that crack about blood will tell? Well, I think you can prove to her that in your case, at least, whoever said it was all wet. Well, what happens to David Sharp and Madame Morgana will be up to the courts. It's a cinch she's out of the ghost racket for a while. A long while. And, of course, Carol did make a change in her policy to cut off David. Expense account, item 20-something, cab back to New York, hotel bill, and fare back to Hartford, $417.35. Expense account total, $892.90. Oh, and if you don't mind, I'll hang on to that tricky little camera and stuff in case I run into another medium well done. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's intriguing story.
Next week, the tears of night matter. A fabulous necklace and a fabulous girl. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote this week's story. Heard in our cast were Virginia Gregg, Lawrence Dobkin, Lorene Tuttle, Harry Bartell, Eleanor Audley, Joseph Kearns, Herb Vigran, Junius Matthews, Tony Barrett, and Sam Edwards. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
May 18th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Please thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Now, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows there, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can find our social media links. You can contact me there. You can also find a list of places where our shows are available for download via podcast. And if you're so inclined, you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money goes toward us acquiring additional classic radio collections and helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great day. Tell all your friends. The greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.